work at night, too, in a different way. Our work is to believe God. He took the coffee from the cabinet. The battle is always over the mind, son. Do you think she thinks about us at all? She probably tries not to. I just don't get it, Dad. She's known the Lord all her life. She knew what we told her about the Lord, Joshua. That's different from knowing him. He turned on the tap water. None of us hear his voice until we listen. Dylan came and went as he pleased. Sometimes he still stayed all night. Have you missed me, baby? At least she could pretend for a few hours someone loved her. Lilith kept him busy with constant demands. He was always on the go, doing research, as he mockingly called it. There wasn't a hot spot or hideaway he didn't know about. No one could bury a secret deep enough that he couldn't dig it up. He had spies in private hospitals who called to whisper what star had checked in and why. Lilith made lots of money. Barbara wondered if most of it was for keeping certain stories under wraps. She was generous, however, sharing a percentage of her income with Dylan. Mother's giving another party. Was there ever a weekend when she wasn't? Dylan had something on his mind, and Barbara knew she wouldn't like it. Marissa will see to everything. I want you to outshine everyone. Why? I have my reasons. He got up and took a shower, dressing in his white tennis shorts and shirt. I'll always take good care of you. He tipped her chin and leaned down to kiss her. I promise. He brushed cold fingers against her cheek and left. Dylan had given Marissa Cohen specific instructions, and Abra found herself wearing a halter-neck chantilly white dress. It shows off your tan beautifully. Abra had been spending a lot of time alone by the pool. It's casual for an evening party, which will make you stand out even more. Leave your hair down. The telephone rang as she was walking in the door. Maria's bringing your dinner. Be ready by 7, but don't come to the house until I call you. It was almost 8 before she heard from him. She entered through the French doors off the courtyard and found the living room packed with people in formal attire. Women wore floor-length gowns and glittering jewelry. The men wore tuxedos. Her informal white dress immediately drew attention. She spotted Dylan and was wondering what game he was playing now, when a familiar voice spoke from behind her. A dove among the peacocks. Franklin Moss put a cigarette between his lips, inhaled deeply, and crushed it out in a marble ashtray. He exhaled slowly as he studied her face. You look virginal. When she pressed her lips together, he shook his head. No insult intended. Lilith made it sound like you were on your way out the door last time we met. I didn't expect to see you again. She lifted one shoulder. I'm still in the cottage. Lucky you. He took out a silver cigarette case and offered her one. She shook her head and said she didn't smoke. Smart girl. Nasty habit. He withdrew one for himself, tapped it on the case. He put the case in his pocket and took out a lighter, glancing toward Dylan. How did a nice girl like you ever get tangled up with Dylan Stark? Nice girl? She almost laughed. He's my cousin, and I'm your uncle. He looked around the room and then back at her. Lots of uncles in the world. This isn't the place for you. Probably because I'm not an actress. Oh, I think you are. And better than most in this room, even the ones who get the starring roles. Mind if I tell you something? What? For a smart girl, you are really stupid. She turned her head away. Why do you stay? Is it his looks? He's got them in spades, that's for sure. Love? He grinned at her sarcasm. Yeah, love. He chuckled. Or is he that good in bed? When she didn't answer, he gave a weary sigh. Even when you get the monkey off your back, the circus always comes back to town. She didn't know what he was talking about. Dylan wove his way through the crowd toward them. Franklin, good to see you as always. He put his arm around Abra's waist and looked between them as though something shady had been going on. I didn't know you two knew each other. We don't. Mr. Moss crushed another cigarette, ready to leave. Dylan squeezed Abra's waist. Franklin worked for one of the most elite agencies in town until one particular actress defected and he got fired. Like mother, like son. You know everyone's business. Nothing secret about a high-profile starlet diving into an affair with the director of her latest movie. Pretty hard to do damage control after that, wouldn't you say? Pamela will go far. Do you think so? Dylan's expression turned to one of deep sympathy. Abra knew it was all.
Hello, it's a million years later, and I'm still on Bridge to Heaven, and it's heaven, not heaven, Bridge to Heaven, and I've been listening to it in audio, but I don't even know which chapter I'm at, but I've reached the point where the girl Abram, she has made very bad choices. She has run off with Dylan, and then she's finally realizing that she has made a mistake, but she's either fearful or because of pride, she's unwilling to go back to either Pastor Zeke or even her adopted parents and accept that she had made a mistake. So she is suffering through the embarrassment of being with Dylan. And I left the part where they were at a particular party, and then the mother of Dylan, although she knows that she's 16, which is underage, she encourages her son's behavior. So I'll say that this is a very sad, it's a very sad novel, and I'm not really fond of sad novels, but I want to push through this reading challenge. Is it a reading challenge? Yes, that oshena.co or .co has decided to take us this year. But yeah, so I want to fold clothes. Yeah. And I'm suspecting a lot of my clothes are not yet dried. We are in a rainy season, so clothes are taking forever to dry, but that's what I want to do. Fold clothes as I listen to the remaining part of Bridge to Heaven. So let's proceed. Still 3.8 because it's a sad story. I'm done reading Bridge to Heaven, and this is what I'd say. It's I find it to be sad. The story is redemptive, and look at my face. Yeah, the story is a bit, it's sad. It's redemptive because Abra gets a second chance and all that, but the story was too close to reality. It was too close to reality, and I don't know how to put this. Every time as listen, because the last part of the book I've listened to it as an audio, and every time I was listening to it, this book came to mind. Lulu's Cave. Lulu's Cave kept coming to mind, and Lulu's Cave is also another sad story, but it was more hopeful. I don't know, I found it to be more hopeful than this book, because this book Abra goes through a lot. The way it was detailed, it was the first guy Dylan, and then it was the second guy Franklin, and it is still very closed door, but I don't know, I find this book to be sad, and I I keep thinking I prefer how Lulu's Cave, because how Lulu's Cave present, okay, they are not same because it's not the same. It's not the same. I don't know. So what I'm trying to say is I've read this book. I found it to be sad. I understand that whatever they were writing about does happen in real life, and some people have gone through worse, but I don't know, I just found it to be sad according to me, what she goes through, especially because it's from one man to the other. Yeah. And also something else, it's because, okay, something else maybe I struggled with the book is maybe I didn't quite understand Abra as a character. Unfortunately, I keep comparing this book to Lulu's Cave. Now in Lulu's Cave, you really need to check out Lulu's Cave so that maybe you get to understand me. In Lulu's Cave scenario, it was not her fault what she goes through. The girl did not experience love, but in Abra's case, she does experience love. I understand that Abra struggled because she did not understand why Zeke had to abandon her. So there was that struggle. That was the beginning of her pain, and she could not move on from there. So in as much as she was surrounded by love, she could not really accept that love because of what Zeke, or because of the way Zeke abandoned her. And I think maybe that is something that I don't, okay, I get it, but I don't get it. It's like I 70% understand it, 30% don't understand it. And then if you compare to Lulu's Cave, the female lead there, she goes through hell from the very beginning. She does not experience love from the very beginning. Both characters make bad choices, but one makes bad choices because she did not have the chance of experiencing love. The other one, who is Abra, does experience love, but because of the fact that she did not quite understand why Zeke abandoned her. She kept making bad choices. So I think that is where I've struggled. That is one. And then two, I found that what she goes through, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know. So I find this to be dark. I find this book to be dark and sad. Although it is redemptive and she does have a good ending, I found this story to be dark and too close to reality. I like my entertainment to be inspired by reality but far from reality. Not that I watch any fantasy movies, like things that don't exist, like, okay, I liked Superman, I like characters that have powers, but I am not so much into deep fantasy. So but I do like some form of fantasy, and by fantasy I mean, once upon a time, romanticizing something, not romance, but even if a character goes through a hard time, I prefer that the redemption, that the good times outweigh the bad times. And I find that in this book the bad times were heavier. I don't know, maybe it's just up to me, but I find the story sad. Would I recommend it? Yes, I'll recommend it. Yeah, but it did not work for me. And then another thing, which is also a major reason, the author, oh my god, the author has taken, is it his or a sweet time to develop all the characters thing. It is only because I've listened to it as an audio that I think I've managed to read it in 2 days. I cannot stand books where the author develops all characters, and I know there are some people that love this. They love that all the characters will be developed. As I was listening to it, I found so many information to be unnecessary. I would have preferred if Joshua was the main character and Abra and Zeke. Give me more information about them. Then the rest side characters just give me splashes here and there. That is how I am as a reader. I struggle with books where the author takes their sweet time, because this author builds all the character. All the characters in this book have been built. You see their weaknesses, you see their strength, you understand where they're coming from, you can see how human they are, which in real sense is a good thing. But for me, when it comes to a novel, it annoys me. Now, that is a very biased opinion. It annoys me. I cannot stand novels where all the many, and this book has many characters are built such that you can see them, their weaknesses, their strengths. I prefer novels where the author focuses 70% on the main characters, 30% the other characters should share. That is the development, the characterization, the appearance. But here you read about Franklin, you see his weaknesses, you see his pain, you see why he's behaving the way he's behaving, you see Dylan, you see the mother to Dylan, you see the way they're behaving, you see all those many characters. I'm like, oh my goodness, why? So as a that is a very bad thing. This is not the first book. All the books where the authors take their sweet time to develop all their characters, if I'm reading either soft copy or a hard copy, I will skip the part for all the remaining characters. But now in an audio, you can't skip. It's very hard to skip parts in an audio, so I like listened to it. And then in an audio, you could be listening to a book and doing so many other things, so you can easily switch off when they're talking about other characters and then come back on when they're focusing on the main character. So that is something that I really did not like about this book. It is not a bad thing, only that it does not work for more. My rating is still 3.8. One, because the author takes his or her sweet time building all these many characters, which I don't know, it's a good thing, I don't know, but it does not work for me. Secondly, I find this story to be very sad for me. Yes, and I kept remembering, which is also not good on my part, I kept remembering Lulu's Cave. So that's on me, but I'd still recommend this book. So we are done with Bridge to Heaven. I will never ever reread this book because I find it to be sad, and because of the many build up of all those characters, which is a good thing, but it does not work for me. Just give 30%, let all the minor characters share, and then 70% focus on the main characters, because I could care less about the minor characters. However, that's on me. Yes, and different strokes for different folks. There are many bookstagrammers, booktubers that I listen to, and they love it when all the other characters are fleshed up. I don't. Yeah, but I definitely recommend this book. So I want to read the second book and get to see what and this is the first time I'm reading Francine Rivers' book, so I want to read the second book. I don't know the name, I've forgotten. So is it The Lady's Mind? So I'll tell you in the next video, on the next clip. I'm reading the second book, and then we get to see. Yeah, so each video will have 2 books. So right about now, let us proceed to the second book. But definitely check this book out if you haven't, especially if you love a book where all the characters are built. If you like a book that is more realistic and exposes people's pain, heartaches, and give them redemption, you need to check out this book.
Yours, Atreides. What did he give you? He offered us money to buy provisions for the journey to Rome. She saw his face harden. I knew you wouldn't want me to take it, so I didn't. I'll purchase supplies tomorrow morning. He said you haven't enough to make the journey to... Upset her. She's offered to help. Atreides, Rizpa said in a tone of appeal to be calm. It's natural Martha would rather have her mother with her than a stranger. You're not a stranger. You're my wife. It's time they accepted you. She put her hand on his arm. Please, she whispered. This isn't the way. Varys set his empty bowl aside. Let Mother see to our sister. Grasping his walking stick, he rose and limped toward the gate to the animal stalls. And keep your witch away from her, he muttered under his breath. Atreides' face went red and then white. What did you say? Varys slammed the gate and glared at him from behind it. You heard me. Atreides took a step toward him. Rizpa clutched his sleeve. Don't, she whispered desperately, but Atreides jerked his arm free. For the love of God, Atreides, think what you do. She pleaded softly. Remember what we talked about. The interlude they'd shared in the forest came back with a rush of clarity. Be angry, but do not sin. It took his entire will to check the rage that had come upon him like a wild storm, but he stayed where he was. Varys frowned. Troubled, he looked between them before he turned away and limped down the corridor, banging stalls open as he went. Freya's hands trembled as she ground herbs. Fear shivered in her, and she didn't know the cause of it. She poured honeyed mead into a cup. Martha liked the taste. Adding the ground herbs to it, she stirred, beseeching her god to make the brew work. She reached into a basket and took 4 cloves of garlic to turn back the evil forces of black magic. Turning, she saw her son looking at her solemnly. He took Rizpa's arm and pulled her in front of him. Putting his hands on her shoulders, he drew her against him. The gesture was deliberate. He was putting his wife before her and all the rest. If you need us, he said, a muscle jerking in his cheek, you know where to find us. Disturbed, Freya left them without a word. Crossing the street, she entered her daughter's home. Lady Freya's here, Yusubai said, and Anomia rose from beside Martha's bed. I will go to the sacred grove and pray for her, the young priestess said solemnly, her quiet statement suggesting Tiwaz was visiting this illness upon Martha. She took Martha's hand and patted it. Your mother will try to make you more comfortable. Martha looked into Anomia's pale blue eyes and saw no hope. I don't want to die. Anomia smiled. Who said you were going to die? You will just suffer. Oh, you will suffer until I'm satisfied you've suffered enough. You're not going to die, Freya said, determined to instill hope in her daughter. She came closer, so close Anomia had to release Martha's hand and move back from her. Freya sat down beside her daughter. It hurts, Mama, Martha said, gripping her stomach. It hurts so much. It's as though something is chewing at me. Drink this. I can't. She saw how Martha's eyes were still fixed upon Anomia. "Drink it," she said, helping her rise enough that she could. "All of it." She shifted her body so her daughter could not see the young priestess standing nearby. "That's it, Luke," she said soothingly, brushing her daughter's thick blonde braid back over her shoulder. "The blue will purge you." "A purge will only make her hurt more," Anomia said tonelessly, moving back, gloating inside. Freya glanced back at Anomia in the shadows. "Before you leave, tell Derek to find and pick a bunch of squill." The plant with narrow leaves and bell-shaped blue flowers would ward off evil spells. "As you say, my lady," Anomia said, her opaque eyes once again on Martha. She was secretly amused. "If you think it can help, I will go myself." She turned away. Martha shuddered violently. "Bring pans and cloths," Freya told Yusipai. "Quickly." Yusipai did as he was told and then stood by to help. The purging was swift and fierce, leaving his wife drained and weakened. The cramps and spasms continued long after everything had been eliminated from her body. "It's not helping, Mother," he groaned, feeling his wife's every... Looked up at Atreides in surprise at his question, and he smiled wryly. "Every day I hear you reading the words of God, and I long to do so for myself, to spend time with those words, to carry them to others." He reached down for her hand and held it tenderly. "Please, my love, will you teach me to read?" Moved by the humility of his words, Rizpah could only nod. With each new day, she had seen more and more of Atreides' pride be put to death, and in its place, God was filling the man she loved with wisdom, gentleness, and the fierce determination to follow Christ's example. As she puzzled Paul, as well as others who had spoken face to face with the Christ, the letter began, "Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile an account of the things accomplished among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and servants of the word have handed them down to us, it seemed fitting for me as well, having investigated everything carefully from the beginning, to write it out for you in consecutive order, most excellent Theophilus, so that you might know the exact truth about the things you have been taught. Gatherings, teaching and instructing those in the community on the words of the Lord. And every morning, as the sun rose, Atreides and Rizpah went to their knees, praying for their children. Beseeching God on Hadassah's and Caleb's behalf, they entreated God to instill his words within their children's hearts, to create a hunger within them for his word, and to make them his children, not theirs alone. And God answered. Both Caleb and Hadassah grew up strong in the Lord. Hadassah was a credit to her namesake, for she became known throughout the region as a young woman of wisdom and great kindness. But it was Caleb who seemed especially attuned to the things of the Spirit. He studied the Word of God hungrily, as though he couldn't get enough of it. "God has a special purpose for that one," Aragast said one night, watching Caleb where he was bent over the scrolls. Rizpah and Atreides only nodded, smiling. It was little surprise, then, when their son came in one evening, his eyes alight with excitement. "God has spoken to me," he exclaimed. Atreides sat in silence, waiting for his son to continue. "Father, Mother, God has called me to take his word to the Vikings." Rizpah looked at Atreides in alarm. "The Vikings?" she said. "But Caleb—" "Rizpah," Atreides' quiet voice halted her words, and she met his loving gaze. "Not ours alone, remember." She nodded and went to embrace her son. "He is yours, Lord," she prayed. "He has been from the beginning." It was a bittersweet moment, as was the morning when the community gathered to bid Caleb farewell. They prayed together, commissioning him in God's name and trusting him to the Lord's care. And though none of them ever saw him again, they knew he was in God's hands, just as each of them was. And they were at peace. The end.
I've just finished listening to As Sure as Dawn. Of course, this is many years later. Anyway, back to the book. I actually love this book more. I love this book more than the first one. That is Bridge to Heaven, mainly because this story focuses on the main actors. A lot of this story revolves around Rispa and Achilles. I don't like the ending because they never saw Caleb again, but I like the ending. I am most sad that the author decided to kill Theophilus, but I understand why. Theo, our cute Theo. I also like the way they were reading the book of Luke. So yeah, my insights are not so deep. Honestly, I like the way it has a lot of Bibles. If you've never read the Bible, you will float listening to this book or reading this book if you've never read the Bible. But if you have, especially if you've read the book of Luke, the story is it's not a bit, the story is super interesting. So my rating of this book is 3.8, mainly because I don't like historical books. Yes, so I know my insights are not so deep, but these are my thoughts on the book. Right now, I am going to move to the third book. Yes, we will see in the next video. Have you read any of this book, As Sure as Dawn and Bridge to Heaven? If you haven't, give them a try. If you love historical books, if you like historical books based on the Bible, give them a try. If you don't, I personally don't like historical books. I have also never read a historical book based on the Bible. This is my first time and I don't know what to say. Let's see how this journey will progress. So I'll see you the next reading vlog as I move to the next. Remember, I'm doing oshenas.co read along challenge, as I said at the beginning. See you in the next video. I'm running out of space.